What's up, YouTube? Knight's Edge here, doing another quick little review of the Microtech Ultratech. This is the only out the front automatic knife that I own, and I've had one for about, I guess, about 2.5 years now or so. My girlfriend actually got it for me for Christmas a couple years back. So Microtech Ultratech, in case you guys don't know the name Microtech, it's an American company. They're really great company. Most of their stuff's made in America. They kind of pride themselves on American made manufacturing. One of the best OTF companies out there. Kind of, the Ultratech is kind of like the standard, I guess you could say, in the knife community. Or has been, at least, for a long time, although there's been a few others that are kind of getting closer and closer to taking away the Ultratech's crown. But the Ultratech, being as how it's the only OTF I've ever handled, I can't really speak as to the competition. I've handled a couple of other, I guess, smaller name OTFs. One of them kind of like a knockoff of Microtech. Got tech in the name. I'm not going to say it here, but you could probably guess the one I'm talking about. It's kind of like the clone of Microtech. And I've handled the Smith & Wesson single action out the fronts, which is, that's to me a totally different ballpark than this. But hoping to branch out and get some more out the front knives, and that way I'll have something to compare it to at least. But so far the Ultratech is what I got as far as out the front knives. This is actually my first out the front knife video review, but go ahead and do some size comparisons. Got Spyderco Paramilitary 2, Spyderco Para 3. Kind of hard to do size comparisons with it closed, I guess, huh? Yeah, cutting edge a little bit more than the Para 3. More comparable would be to the Paramilitary 2 as far as cutting edge goes. Do a couple more. Got the Hogue Deca. Got the Ritter Hogue. Doesn't really tell you a whole lot looking at them, because these are out the side autos, and obviously out the front's a lot different as the blade's housed inside of the case in here. But it'll give you a little bit of a size idea, at least if you have those knives in your collection. And here's another one. This is the Microtech Stitch with the ram lock. Another Microtech, USA made Microtech knife. Not really comparable either, but it'll at least tell you the size of it if you got a stitch, I guess. And here's another Microtech Ultratech. So the story behind this is actually the one that she got me for Christmas a couple years ago, which is one that I'll never get rid of because it's got the actual serial number on it. You look there, that serial number. My birthday is August 21st, and that, along with the fact that you know, she got it for me for Christmas, I'll never get rid of this knife. Great knife. But I got this one on a trade on NAF sale a while back from trying to think of who it was that I traded for that. Daehee 7168 is their YouTube handle. He's probably watching this thinking, oh my god, he butchered that pronunciation. But that's who traded me. I traded a Benchmade actually for this one because I wanted a user. I wanted one that I could take and use it without being worried about losing it, or, you know, messing it up too bad or whatever. because I kind of wanted to put it to a test, and I have done that with this one. So this is the one. The only difference between the two, this one, looking at the serial number on it, look at the serial number on the two knives. This one's higher because it was actually made in December of 22. This one was August of 21. So this is a newer model. The only difference between the two that I could find, aside from the obvious, you know, this one's black, this one's blue, was on the grip, or I guess you could call it the grip, the forward grip where your finger is going to go. Actually, look at it. Put them right next to each other. There's a little bit of a difference there. That's what they changed up with those grooves. The jimping, I guess you could call it, towards the front. Everything else, the contouring's the same. The switch is the same. Pocket clip's the same. Glass breaker, everything. The proprietary hardware, the screws, everything about them are identical, except for that jimping on the bottom where your finger goes. If you look at the blades, this one actually came in a darker finish. I don't know if the camera's catching that or not, but this one is a little bit darker of a finish. This is apocalyptic, Microtech calls it. That's their kind of darker of a stonewash finish than a regular stonewash, and this is a stonewash finish. They're both Tonto blade shapes. So got that out of the way. The differences between the two, as far as I guess that's a good comparison from 2021 to 2022 with the differences, but they didn't really have too many differences in models produced in those years. Not nearly as many as they do now. There's I think now the newer Microtechs are coming out with the glass breakers are either gone away or a lot more minimalized, and the pocket clips have the rollers on them. They're a little bit different. So go ahead and get specs over with before I veer off in the left field on you guys here. So I'm looking at right at, with cutting edge, 3 1/8. All right, 3 1/8 for cutting edge. Full blade length measurement I got right here is 3.4 inches, I'd say. Just under 3.5 inches, a little over 3 3/8. Full length overall, including the glass breaker on the end, I've got 8 1/4. Sitting right at 8 1/4 overall length. Take away the glass breaker, and it's right at 8 inches from tip of the blade to the very butt of the knife there. So go ahead and get the calibers out. Do blade stock thickness. Blade stock thickness on it. That's at the spine. Thickest part of the blade before the grind goes down. Looking at 122 thousandths on that. Thinnest part right before the edge where it thins down. 35 thousandths, I'll call that. Not an especially super thin slicer. It's got a really good hollow grind on it, so it goes from that full flat right there and swedges down to a thinner grind as you go towards the apex of the edge. Let's see, go ahead and get the scale out if I can find it. Put a weight on this thing. .5 ounces. Right at the ounce to inch blade ratio as far as balance goes. So no problem there. It's a pretty lightweight, easy to carry knife. I've had no problem with the weight of it. Almost forget it's in my pocket sometimes. I don't know if it's because of the aluminum or the light weight of it, but whenever it's sitting in the pocket, that's what you're looking at. So not really a deep carry clip by any means, but you still got this glass breaker sticking out here. You can remove that actually. You have to buy a little tool to remove it because it's a proprietary thing from Microtech. You gotta take it apart and everything, and then find like a flathead or something to put in its place to hold the pocket clip on, which to me seems a lot of trouble. I really don't mind this little bit sticking out, doesn't bother me. But that's what you're looking at in the pocket. Not like a concealed carry or anything like that, but also it's not constantly and totally in the way by any means. As far as hardware goes, it doesn't have T8 screws, which is kind of a bummer. As far as if you want to take it apart, you got to buy the little tool, the little driver that comes from Microtech to take the screws out. Tri-wing, I think they call that. Not 100% sure. I think that's called tri-wing, but can't use a regular Torx bit to take it out anyway, which kind of sucks. But they're going towards more of a being able to take them apart, I think, with their later models, their newer models for 24. So that's a good thing. Pocket clip, I've got no gripes, complaints about it. It's a piece of stainless that's kind of fairly smooth. I mean, it doesn't cut your finger or anything. It's not a beautiful milled pocket clip, but it does the job. It goes in there, it comes out with ease. I haven't had an issue with it snagging or anything like that. The switch on it, if you got to push it just right, because if you hand this knife to someone that has never opened an Ultratech, let alone an out the front knife, it's not about strength in the hand or anything like that. I mean, you just gotta be used to opening and closing them. So I've had people I've handed it to kind of push down or forward and like, man, it's not working, or can you open this for me? It's not doing it. So if you push forward into it and down is what you're looking for, it opens with ease. You just gotta kind of get a feel for it. This could be rounded off a little more on the switch. I've always thought. Let's see if I can get that. It's not super sharp, but it will if you sit here and play with it for a while and open and close, it will kind of put a rough spot on your finger there. So the edges of that could be a little more contoured than what they are, and like I said, I think that might be actually one of the things that they're fixing with the newer model Ultratechs. But if you're used to firing it and pushing it and how you have to manipulate it, it's no problem. I mean, you can sit here all day and do it. That's, I guess, brings me to my next point. It's pretty reliable. Opens, closes, fires really easy. Every single time. I've never had this thing fail on me. And I've sat here and went back and forth with it, 20, 30 times at a time. And I've never had the thing jam up. I've never had it not fire. Once it fires and it comes out, with almost all OTFs except for the Hawk Deadlock, from what I hear anyway, from what I'm told and what I've seen, there is that little bit of play, and it does have minimal play whenever you can move this. I don't know if you can hear it. You can move it a little bit, but not much. I mean, it's not going to make a big difference, or any difference really noticeably, whenever you're cutting or using it. It doesn't it doesn't really make noise rattling around too much or anything like that. Another thing, and this is not just Microtech Ultratechs, but any out the front knife. I think a lot of people, a stigma, kind of a bad reputation they got from movies and stuff like that is whenever you're using out the front knife, you see people in movies especially hit the switch, and when they hit the switch, it'll, like, you know, go through somebody's hand or something crazy like that. So it will not do that. Look, I'll show you guys. This is a regular piece of computer paper. Take it, fold it in half. Alright, look, hitting the switch right here. I'm going to put it right up against the computer paper. Now, it will bite you. It'll pierce the skin, but it won't, it's almost like one of those little needles that diabetic people have to draw the blood out so they can do like the blood sugar test. And when it does that, it'll stop it like that. So once it does that, the only thing you have to do to reset it, pull it all the way out, and that's it. It's locked out, ready to go. Pull it back, it goes back in and out, no problem. So do that one more time. So that's all it does, is comes out as soon as it meets with anything that gives it resistance, it will stop. Pull it out and reset it. Keeps working reliably every time. As far as like I said, I don't have any other brand name or really any OTF knives to compare it to, but I don't know if it's because of the design of it or the American manufacturing or the quality, but it's got to have something to do with it that it fires reliably so many times. And I have seen, like, Duty's Daggers has a video, and X-Wing, a couple other people have videos where they torture test them. This guy took the Ultratech and just threw it as far as he could up into the air, and it landed on concrete. Slammed it on the ground, beat it, threw it, everything, and it fired reliably every time. The main thing you'll come up to as far as obstacles on this knife, as far as something not making it fire or the action being off or whatever, is sand, an excessive amount of like pocket lint, mud, stuff like that. Can go in here, and there's springs in it, so it's out the front knife, so the spring doesn't have tension on it right now, but as soon as I push this forward past the engagement point, it's got tension on it. The only thing that takes that tension off, because it's a double action OTF, is pulling it back, and it clears. Once it clears this point, it goes back. So with that set of springs in there, and it's on kind of like a slide, mud and sand will get in the way of that. If it's, you know, if you throw it in the river and it's filled up with mud or whatever, the best thing to do if that happens is, you know, dump the stuff out, whatever's in it, and flush it really good with rim oil, and then let it dry for a little bit before you use it, because if you use it immediately, it can offset the alignment of the springs. But a little bit of rim oil, spray it and take it. I mean, I haven't oiled it in a while, so I'll do it now. I can spray it right here, right in there. This actually is almost out, but not even that much. Let it sit. And it's good to go. Super reliable, great knife. The price point on it, I'll link it down in the description. You can get it on pretty much any major knife website, Knife Center, BladeHQ, DLT, E-Knives, GPKnives, Smoky Mountain Knife Works, you know, Microtech's website, along with their hundreds of affiliated dealers. It's pretty available. The Ultratech's a really available knife. It comes in all kinds of different steels. It comes in all kinds of different colors, all kinds of different blade shapes, drop point, clip point, tanto, serrated, full serrated, non-serrated, bayonet, all kinds of different designs and different kinds of ways you can get it. And I mean, obviously, if somebody that isn't even really as into OTF knives has two of them, and they're pretty readily available. They actually have like a Boba Fett Bounty Hunter edition that looks pretty cool. They've got all kinds of different versions of them. I think for Halloween they did a Ghostbusters one last year. There's many different versions, colors, blade shapes, blade finishes you can get with the Ultratech. So it's been a pretty long review, pretty lengthy, but being as how this is the only out the front knife model I have, I wanted to be as thorough as I could about it and cover everything that pretty much I was wondering before I got one. These are all the questions I had in my head, like, you know, will it go through your hand if you hit the switch? You know, how do you clean it? And is it a good carry? Does it carry light? And does it carry good and all that? So, also it has a little lanyard loop. I don't think I mentioned that. It's pretty obvious right there by the glass breaker, but for anyone that, you know, wants a lanyard, it's got that lanyard loop on there as well. So that is the Microtech Ultratech out the front 2022 model, 2021 model, almost essentially the same knife. Great knife, good out the front auto, and like I said, in the future I hope to get more to compare it to, but that is pretty much it for today, and I hope you guys like the video. If you do, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and hopefully I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.